That's right. Hey everyone, Corey from Aquarium Co-op. Today we're with Zach, owner of Koi.com, and we're going to learn what Gosanke is, which is Kohaku, Sankes, and Showas, and the differences. So make sure you stay tuned. Alright, so for someone that doesn't know any of these fish, is it best to start with just red and white and then build from there?
Everything starts and ends with Kohaku. It's kind of a famous quote that's out there in the koi world. Everything begins and ends with Kohaku. When people first get into the hobby, they're pretty drawn to the Kohaku, and then as they progress through the hobby, a lot of other varieties become very exciting to them, but as they get further and further along, their eye becomes more and more refined. They tend to wane back to Kohaku as their primary choice, and it's really true. So it's interesting. But Kohaku is one of the most popular varieties of koi out there for sure. This one I believe is 3 years old now. She's quite big.
Yep. What is that, like 28 inches or something? Or
26, 27,
okay.
Yeah, right close to that. And I don't think she's going to have any problem getting to 30 inches. She's got the frame to handle it, so she'll probably get there. If she goes to the right place, she'll definitely fill out the rest of the way.
And so the Kohaku means it's red and white only.
Red and white only. Kohaku, it literally translates as red and white, so it's about as basic as it gets.
And is this one, do you call it a 3-step? How many steps is this guy?
Yeah, people would argue on that one, yeah. Some people might say that it's kind of a 4-step. Some people might say that it would be a 3-step. I guess I would consider it a 4-step.
What that means is like it kind of goes red, white, red, white, red, white.
Yeah, we got individual steps of red there. Yep. If you look at the fish from one side, it actually looks like it is a 4-step. When you look at it from the other side, it looks like a 3-step. So kind of different from different angles. The steps, the amount of steps that a fish has also has a name too. This one being a 4-step, you'd consider it you'd call it a yondan Kohaku. So
are more steps better, less steps better, just different?
Just different, you know, depends on what you're really into. I mean, a lot of people like to have a multiple step, 3-step or 4-step koi. 2-step or omoyo pattern, which is like kind of a more solid pattern, seems to be more common. So maybe that lends to that desirability thing because it's more rare to have something that has multiple steps and that's high quality, that people might lean towards that a bit. But this one is a koi that we bought as a 1-year-old in Japan. And a 1-year-old, where a koi that was less than 1-year-old. A koi in its first year is called a tosai. And so we bought this koi as a tosai in Japan and had it available on our website for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months or something like that. And then a gentleman bought this fish, and he's left it in Japan for 2 seasons to grow.
Wow.
And now that it's really grown a lot in Japan and done well, we've decided to bring it home, and it's getting shipped to California soon to go to the gentleman's pond. So
is it going to be a personal fish, or is he going to show it?
He has shown this koi in Japan once. This koi went to a show in Japan as a Nisai, as a 2-year-old, and he will probably show it in the States. I would hope so. It's a nice fish. So, yeah, it's got a lot of really good qualities to it. The leading edge and the back edge of each of the steps is really sharp, and that's really, really desirable in Kohaku. There's very little kind of bleed where the pattern bleeds into the white.
That has a term for it, right?
It does, yeah. The leading edge of the pattern here, the leading edge of a step is called sashi, and the back end of the step is called kiwa. And both the kiwa and sashi on this fish are really, really sharp. They're really good. So it's a good quality fish. The color's even throughout. A lot of times in Kohaku you might notice where on the head it's just skin, the red will be really, really red, but the red in the body where the scales are might be a much lighter color. This one's got a good evenness all the way through, so that's really good. And the white's good. She's a little bit stressed right now, but the white's really pretty good on this fish when she's out in the pond swimming around and happy.
All right, so we know the Kohaku. What do we go to next?
This fish here is a Sanke. And it's kind of the short term for the name. It's called a Taisho Sanshoku in formal terms. But everybody calls it Sanke. And it's another 3-color fish, much like the Showa. but they tend to be more, they show more white. Their sumi is very different in that it's more of stepping stones of sumi instead of kind of big bands of
little
sumi.
blocks of color.
Yeah, little blocks of color instead of big bands like this one has here. So, and Sanke were developed during the Taisho era in Japan, and that's where its name came from. So during that period of time, which I think was in the early 1900s, that variety was developed, perfected, and then given that name, Taisho Sanke. So, and this one here, I think she's a 3-year-old now, same age as this koi. So close in the same size, a little bit smaller than this Sanke, but these two fish are from Sakai, and Sakai is in Hiroshima. This fish is from Beppu. Beppu is also near Hiroshima, but these two are from Sakai. This koi, when we bought it, didn't have as much sumi up on it. The black wasn't up quite as good on this fish when we first got it, and it's developed a pretty good amount of sumi in the last year. So
nice.
There's some signs of some more still to come, a little bit on the shoulder right there that might come up. And with this particular bloodline, it's kind of a slower developing sumi, so usually
its pectoral fins like match the black
almost perfectly. Yeah. The stripes in the fins on a Sanke are pretty desirable. How the Showa had that motoguro in the base, this heavy black. Sanke have what they call tejima stripes, which are kind of these. They're more of a stripe of sumi, not so much a block of sumi. So and that's pretty desirable, especially if it's nice and balanced like that.
Do they sell better if they have like the red dot on the nose and stuff like that, or is that?
You know, in the States they do.
Yeah, I was gonna say I always like, oh, I gotta call it Rudolph.
Yeah, in America they love them. This one has kind of that red on the nose and then red on the lip there too.
Even better.
Yeah, even better. Double. They call that kuchibeni. Red lips, and yeah, that's pretty desirable in the States. People love that.
This fish looks like a clown.
It does.
Yeah.
When you look at it,
that fish has gotten better and better in its time here. And again, the same thing. This one's got really good kiwa, so that back end of the step is nice and sharp. The sashi's not quite as good on this fish as it is on that kohaku, but it's not bad. It's pretty good.
Got more color coming up. That one's got a bad attitude.
Yeah, this one wants to get out.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is Gosanke, which is the term they use for these three varieties, Gosanke.
Yeah, and this is the Showa here.
This is the Showa, yep. This is it.
And so, if you're in a store or something like that, and you're trying to figure out whether it's a Showa or a Sanke, is the easiest way just the blocking of the black? Like, what's your tip? I mean, I know it's difficult.
Yeah, it's difficult. That's probably the easest way, yeah.
For the layman.
Sanke tend to have steps. You know, little stepping stones of sumi. It's more spotty, whereas Showa have a lot more of that blotchy, big, heavy sumi. It's a different kind of sumi, so the more you look at koi, the more your eye will become trained to Showa sumi versus Sanke sumi, and it becomes really easy after you've seen thousands and thousands of them. It's really, really easy to differentiate, but early on, probably the easiest tool would be to say Sanke is more of a step sumi, whereas Showa, it's more of a heavy, kind of banded sumi.
I'm just going to buy what I like, because I don't care what you call it, if I like looking at it.
Yep, that's what matters.
That's why we keep these fish, right? To look at them.
Oh yeah. And all three of these are super nice fish. So there's a little trick in Showa. Now, I'm probably not going to do it with her because she's too big, but if you look inside of a Showa's mouth,
you gotta look way down.
On the base of their mouth, if they had a tongue, where their tongue would be, Showa have a kind of a bluish tone to them. It's kind of like an underlaying black that's just under the skin. Sanke don't have that. So, you know, if you're really handy with the fish, you can look in their mouth.
Well, maybe my underwater camera got
that
a picture of it. That'd be good.
Sanke won't have that, but Showa do.
Yeah, she doesn't want to show her tongue.
Technically, Showa, the base pattern or the base color on a Showa is black, versus a Sanke, which is base is white.
So they start with a black fish, and that way they start with a white fish.
Right, when they're fry.
Little bitty fry. Showas are black, and Sanke and Kohaku are white.
Interesting.
So when they're little nose hairs, when they're tiny little guys, a lot of Showa breeders will keep predominantly the black fry and not keep the ones that are more of a clearer white color.
Right.
They tend to be heavier on the Showa as they get developed. So hopefully these two will be this big in a couple of years.
Yeah.
In the right environment, they should be able to get pretty close. I don't see any reason why they can't be 30 inches, either one of them.
Nice. And how much would something like, how much do these fish kind of go for roughly?
On the low end, probably around 3K, and on the high end, 10.
Okay.
So in that range.
Yeah.
But there's Showa and Kohaku and Sanke that we bring in from Japan that can be anywhere from $20 all the way up to 20,000 if you wanted to spend that much. So
right.
They're all over the board, and you can get really beautiful Kohaku and Sanke and Showa that start out at 5 or 6 inches, but they'll grow. They grow fast. These particular fish, like the Showa we brought in from Japan, she was already pretty much this big. This fish has been here for a little while, and she's grown a little bit in our care here. And this one just came back from Japan recently, so
nice.
Yeah, we ship them over pretty much this big, but
yeah, they're done being in the bowl now.
like that. Get rid of that scale. This Kohaku actually came from a Sanke parent.
Huh.
So it has, see how its eyes are real blue?
Yeah. That's a big scale.
Weighing's easier because if you drop it, you just drop it in.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, hopefully now you know what Gosanke is, Kohaku, Showas, Sanke. We've got Zach from Koi.com, and make sure you check out his channel. We'll put a link to it. And check out all the other videos we're doing, trying to do some education on pond stuff, and I'm nerding out hard. So make sure you check out the next video.